Hello, this is Rajesh Magow from Make My Trip.
And hello, this is Kartik Malhotra. Rajesh Magow, many thanks for joining us on this cast today. Now, the travel and tourism sector seems to have been the first and perhaps the most devastated victim of COVID-19. How is Make My Trip dealing with the pandemic?
Yeah, Kartik, it has been really unprecedented times for travel and tourism industry. Indeed, for the entire world and entire country, but more so for travel and tourism industry, one could definitely say that because it probably has been the worst hit. So the way we are looking at it from our point of view is to look at it in two or three phases. So the first phase is going to be the focus on survival. Because right now the time is to, how do you weather this storm? How do you make sure that you come out of this, this unprecedented crisis unscathed? And then you start focusing on the revival phase of it. And then once these two phases, you're hopefully out of it, then you can think about focus more on how do you want to thrive. So that's how we're kind of looking at it. The work for the first two phases, which is a survival phase and a revival phase, is actually on already. And what you need to do for survival phases, and that's exactly what we are focusing on, you have to just continuously keep focusing on optimizing your costs. And you have to just manage your cash flows very, very tightly. Because, the fact is that there is zero revenue. What is going to be the new normal? As you come out of this crisis, as the lockdown is lifted, whether it is partially and when the travel opens up, what's going to be the new normal? And therefore, what is that we need to do to make sure that we're kind of ready for that? For instance, safety and hygiene is going to be a new normal going forward, right? Social distancing is going to be a new normal. How do we work with all our partners to make sure that not only we work with them, ideate with them, collaborate with them to what are they doing it on their side, but also make sure that we present it to our customers.
So Rajesh, help me understand, when it comes to air travel or even train travel, how do you ensure social distancing? At some level, you're talking about redesigning the schematics of seating in an aircraft or possibly redesigning the berths of trains. How do you ensure social distancing while traveling?
There is going to be a lot more innovation you will see that is coming up as we get a sense from, with our airlines partners and the hotels as we've been engaging with them. And a lot of the ideas that we've also been sharing of what can be potentially done. See, one part of this is social distancing. The other part of this is also sanitization and making the hygiene standards. And I think there's a lot of work that is going on both fronts. And yes, it's going to be a challenging, times for sure. In some cases, by the way, for instance, in our, bus travel business, as we've been working and we've also picked up learning from the other markets, there are configurations. So we are working on our platform where we will be able to give an option on the software that if the operator wants to just change the configuration of the seat, in terms of how does he want to maintain social distancing in the bus, we should be able to do it.
But do you think travelers will be in a hurry to take a flight or a train even once the lockdown is lifted and travel resumes? Unless it's absolutely necessary and urgent, because there is no vaccine, why would you take a flight at a time like this?
Again, a very, very fair observation. And I do think it's going to be a slow recovery. In any case, even the modes of transport, by the way, are not going to just start at the same pace, same capacity levels that it was pre-COVID. It's going to be a graded start, and the way it starts and slowly and gradually it'll pick up.
So airlines have been in doldrums the world over, even before the pandemic and even during COVID-19. The number of airlines that have gone bust and bankrupt is enormous, and that directly impacts your business. So does this compel you to take a relook at your own business strategy?
Well, yes, you're absolutely right. In actually, even pre-COVID, we had a jet crisis, right? I mean, and industry was kind of recovering out of that crisis where the capacity had fallen down by at least about 20%. And it had just come back to the pre-jet level, if you will. But the good news was that an industry actually did recover. Right. So it was stronger, and we've seen some of those cycles in the past. So this time around, the recovery was faster. That means there are other players who were able to actually just very quickly ramp up the capacity. So that was good news, but then COVID hit us, right? So it's not going to be an easy, for even the civil aviation industry as well. So, but from our standpoint, if you look at MAKEMYTRIP'S history, when we IPO'd in 2010, we were about 90% business coming from air. Today, our dependency on air business is about 35%. So we have over the years, in fact, added more lines of businesses, more products for us to be able to just become a full stack, online travel company.
So again, Rajesh, this brings me back to the question I asked you earlier. If airlines and hotels are both seeing difficult times, both of them directly impact Make My Trip. So what is your own survival strategy?
When you're focusing on your survival, what you need to do is to make sure that during this period, your fixed cost is optimized, right? And as the travel opens up, we have pretty much every segment of the travel that we cater to. That's how it'll start happening. And by the way, just so you know, even during the lockdown, when the booking windows were open, we were getting bookings happening. So it's not that people were just completely not really positioned for us to be able to just start. And we are also looking at some of the other ideas to monetize traffic. It could be an advertisement model. It could be any other model that we've been also looking at some of the new. You're getting the sense right now that the first phase of start will start from first week of June. You're getting kind of, from all the partners, even the Ministry of Civil Aviation, the airports, so you're engaged with everyone and you're getting the insights that might be the first phase of start.
So Rajesh, what are you expecting from the government in terms of a relief package or a stimulus? Because thus far, there hasn't been any direct stimulus offering for the travel and tourism sector. And last I checked, it's almost a 10% contributor to the GDP. So what are you going to the government with as your demand for a relief package?
No, I mean, of course, there is some expectation, right? And we've been representing the industry, working very closely with partners, many industry associations, and have made several representations to the government and ideas. And I think government has been very receptive to just reaching out and making the connects in terms of just getting all the ideas on the table. And I guess now it's time for the government to evaluate all those ideas and recommendations and come up with some kind of a relief. And I think industry does need, but I'm also cognizant of the fact, as you engage with them, as you talk to many, ministries, all the relevant ministries, that, government has a lot to deal with it right now. Industry is waiting for some relief to come our way as well. But I think in one area, which is actually the dire need of the hour, if you will, for the entire industry, especially small and medium enterprises, is liquidity. So if I have to just solve for therefore the liquidity problem, then I have to just do something different from the normal, right? From the usual. And that is only that RBI has to just give that assurance. And then the banks will have to just lend, taking some calculated risk with the industries. I mean, they would not necessarily do it to all, but at least, with the corporates who have, provide a lot of employment, can potentially generate, a lot of the business and the revenues for the government. And they are struggling with the liquidity, and they have a good track record. And I think that at least can be eased out. And if that is eased out, and I think there will be a relief.
Rajesh Magow, many thanks for joining us on Hello This Is, and we wish you and your sector a quick bounce back.